right. So welcome to Ignite and Heal. Are you ready? And my name is Mary Mazur, and I am a certified PSYCH K instructor and facilitator. Very blessed to be able to offer this for those that are ready to make the transformational changes within their lives and within themselves by beginning with themselves. Today, I have an amazing gentleman here, Orion Centaurus. And I want to introduce him and let him introduce himself a little bit, actually, too. I had him on a show once before, so this may be a part 2 to that show. And then also expanding, because he's done some amazing things since then in relation with PSYCH K, and we'd love to share that with all who's ready to hear. So welcome, Orion, and please introduce yourself a little bit, and then we'll begin.
Sure. Hello to your audience, and hi again to Nicole. Thank you, Mary, for having me on again. And yeah, it's only been a couple of months, but I'm so happy to be on your show again, as always. Whenever Mary asks me, I will definitely be here for her. This could be part 2 of a long series coming up of Orion Centaurus. And I hope your listeners are going to enjoy this one as well. It is a bit of a continuation from the last time I was speaking, and I was told that I'm a mythical creature. So I don't know. We'll find out if that holds true. And thank you for having me.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you. So this year, 2020, wow, it has been a huge year for many people on this planet, to say the least. And what I have understood and felt from my spirit and my spiritual guides is that it's just a really beautiful opportunity for us to clear what no longer serves us anymore, and then to bring in the new, bring in actually our true essence of our divine light and love of who we really are here as a spiritual being, having a human experience, and then creating a new world here, a new template, a new world here in this beautiful earth, really recreating it into the 5th dimension and above. We'll be talking a little bit about that. So with that, PSYCH K, I know, has been a tremendous gift for myself in my life. I learned it 10 years ago. And I have been growing exponentially, especially over the last 5 years. I actually took it slow when I learned this transformational tool for myself, and then it sped up, and then the last couple of years has been like off the charts. So Orion, you stepped in this year, being connected with this gift of PSYCH K, and then it sounds like you're actually already taken off very quickly. So yes, would you like to share a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Again, for people that may have heard a little bit about this before, last time I was on your show, it actually does start with some injuries that I did have. I was getting these injuries, and I'm a pretty strong guy to do a lot of training. I'm an athlete, but I'm also a musician, which will probably tie into a category that we'll get into later on. And what ended up happening was I was struggling with these injuries. It was just one of the injuries were just really kind of suspicious and odd. It had to deal with my abdomen area, more specifically around the intestines. And it was just really strange because I have a great diet. I eat organic, and I take my nutrients. I don't do drugs. So it was really weird. So anyways, I ended up going to see a friend of mine. And this is actually quite valid in this story here. So my friend was Rick. I went to go see Rick, and I was telling him, I don't know what's going on here, but it's really taking me off my game. And so he just advised to me that, maybe it has to do with some other type of level, or I got a friend that you might want to contact. So so he gave me this wonderful lady's number, and I contacted her, and that's when I started to reawaken my spirituality, so to speak, and really delve into being so thankful for the divine. And now what ended up happening was when she told me many things over that conversation, it actually involved the fact that this energy and these injuries were an awakening for me to reconnect with my spirituality, my spirit family, which was the topic of the last show, and to really understand why I'm here and who I am. So it really gave me a chance to remember who I am. And so thereafter, I was told that I had this block, and this block was not allowing me to go forward. This block was actually put on me, or simply accumulated and was allowed to form some sort of energetic type block So it prevented me from going forward. I don't like that because I'm a guy who likes to go onward and upward. And so I don't like to be stuck in a position where I can't learn more, do more, and be better. So what ended up happening was I started to realize that something was really pulling me towards PSYCH K. And that something was actually a tremendous force. That force led me to a friend of mine named Kelly. Kelly said she went and took the course, and she said the whole time there she was talking about me. And that's a whole other story, but it has to do with a lot of energy shifting I was doing at the property that's not too far from where she lives. So my property was actually owned by Nazis, SS Nazis, and it was very, very, very dense energy that was here that I helped to transmute and change and push out. I had my 2 children here in this house with my lovely wife. And what ended up happening after she told me about this class that she took that was PSYCH K, it was, I could feel it off of her. I could feel this vibe I was getting, and this vibe was so strong. And I knew she changed for the better. And she seemed so much more confident and relaxed. And it was just a tremendous shift. So I said, I'm going to have to possibly take that in the future. Sure enough, the COVID thing happened, and I was planning to probably look into PSYCH K about a year or 2 years later. But when the COVID thing happened, I knew that I had to search out this one amazing instructor that she had, and I felt a strong connection with this instructor. So just with the name itself, so I searched around the PSYCH K website, and sure enough, it was the lovely Mary Mazur. And so Mary was just tremendous at helping me to figure out what was going on with me and who I am. She worked well with me and used PSYCH K. And PSYCH K after that point was kind of a groundbreaking future healing modality, in my opinion, that would lead to people getting a type of tool that could take their power back and eliminate the stress, reprogram their own minds from the brainwashing that has been occurring in this world to date and is still continuing with the media's propaganda by inserting COVID and the like and the situations that are currently going to be transpiring over the next year. So once I started getting into that, I said, I'm going to have to take the basic workshop. I'm going to have to take the advanced. And my spirit wanted it done as soon as possible. So I wasn't going to deny that. So I tried the first time I could get one in Toronto, because I'm not too far from Toronto. I'm about 3 hours away. So it's not that bad of a drive. I drove with my family. We went to Toronto in September and took the basic, and it was wonderful, a great experience. I had Mariana as my instructor, and she was very nice. And it really I started to understand how powerful this really was. Bruce Lipton was talking about it. Of course, Rob Williams, fantastic job taking this form and bringing it to the people, and actually it really goes to the ones who are supposed to handle this, and that's a whole other story. But at the same time, it's made usable for everyone, which is a great thing for people to heal their minds with. Now, after that, I said, I love PSYCH K. I was interested in saying, okay, let me see what the advanced would be like. So I took the advanced immediately after, about a week or two after, and I loved it. The people in the class I resonated with. I mean, my intuition was going off the charts. I started to find out that some of these people were actually connected to me from past lives, and that's why our bonds were so strong. But then I also started to realize that PSYCH K was like a family network of light workers and souls that have come back and joined forces in this particular time. And so that also added to the pull that I had. There was just this magnetism I had for PSYCH K. And so after I took the advanced, I knew that this type of modality was going to be used by myself to help to change the world by changing myself, changing others with their permission. And of course, it's such a beautiful thing to do even for your family. So that's where I'm at right now. It's only been about a few weeks, probably about a month since I've taken all of those. I'm looking to take the master's soon. I don't know how that's going to turn out, especially with the situation of lockdowns and rolling lockdowns and the like. But that's where we're at right now. And as soon as I started to take it, I started to get these gifts that started to open up. Would you like to go into that now?
Oh, sure, absolutely, absolutely.
Oh,
Well,
sure.
and that's
Okay.
the gift. And well, if I can offer, that's I believe is the gift with PSYCH K. The ones that are here to really serve at a really super high level, I would call it, or just there's many of us that have chosen to come back to live in this lifetime for exactly this time, for this helping assist many in their spiritual awakening, just by holding the space of love and light and being mirrors for others, and then also to actually contribute their special gifts, their gifts that we each are uniquely fabricated and designed to be with. And you are one of them, Orion, which is really exciting. So yeah, we'd love to hear what you're discovering about yourself and the special gift that you have. Beautiful.
Sure. Yes, I have. I'm very lucky to say I have many gifts, and I'm very appreciative of those gifts. A lot of these gifts have actually humbled me instead of doing the reverse and turning me into an egomaniac type thing, which is quite surprising because with a lot of the information, it might be difficult to see how your ego would not get a little bigger upon finding out some of the discoveries that I've made with my soul's template and who I've been over time. However, the fact that the divine has me helping out here at this moment and throughout the ages, and actually in other locations, which can be discussed maybe in another show, makes me feel really, really happy to know that I can make those changes and help people. Because to be honest with you, in my heart, I'm really heart-centered, and I really want to make sure that no matter what time period I come in, I really want to have an everlasting effect on those time periods, on the people involved in those time periods, and as a consequence, by changing the vibration of the world that I'm currently in, to make those changes in for the better, to make it more positive. Funny enough, I actually found that, it's not as easy as it sounds, of course. And so there was a lot of things that I used actually PSYCH K for, to balance for, involving past lives, which is what this is essentially what ended up taking off for me. Essentially, I was told that some of these tools for PSYCH K would be great in cleaning up a little bit of negative energy and trauma that was accumulated throughout the ages as I took different forms here in this world to make changes and to help others in shedding the light during these different time periods. So some of the gifts that started coming in were, I just had an easy way of actually using PSYCH K that is actually a rapid approach to PSYCH K. I can't really explain it. It actually is just kind of, you'd have to see it, and it's self-explanatory, but it really is very, very quick and efficient, this method. And another thing is that I found that after I took the advanced, I found that I was connected in a way that was allowing for spiritual energy and spiritual essences of others to just swoop into my body, so to speak, or my energy field, and really feel comfortable conversing in a way that was, it's still a little difficult for me to comprehend, because it's not very easy to get all the information in a clear manner, because I've only just started to explore this gift. However, one of the major things that ended up happening, and I'm glad I can help these, like it was kind of like a nudge, like a spiritual nudge by certain spiritual essences that would want maybe a balance here for something, usually relationship balance, and other type of balances that I'm very happy I could provide, because that is my intent. That's why I wanted to take PSYCH K, to help as many as I could, and that includes the spiritual realm of those, some of those of which have passed over, which Mary actually was just phenomenal in helping certain individuals of mine to transition into the light, who were actually earthbound for a while. So again, another thing that had happened was I got this download of information. So I'd just be, literally I would just be doing a little bit of balances, and then all of a sudden I get all these words popping into my head, and it would come up almost just like a hologram. and these words were names throughout history. So I was very curious as to what these names were, and who they were. So I just simply wrote them down. A lot of them were very familiar, of course, but I didn't know what it meant and how I should be applying these names. So I just wrote them down and just, kind of explored that a little bit. And that's when I started to realize, oh, there's a huge picture here. And it actually combined well with my current study of templates and the information involved in the personality of your soul. So your soul has its own template, has its own frequency vibration, which gives you a personality. And whatever body you take, that personality is what inhabits that body, and what gives it the type of life and actions and energy, personality that which people experience. So I got some of those names, but I'll preface this by saying that it kind of ties in with the problems that I had about prior to getting into PSYCH K, with just the multiple injuries that were very unusual. So I ended up finding out with the help of course, Mary, because to me, she's probably the go-to instructor, facilitator in PSYCH K, but that's just my opinion. So what ended up happening was that I started to realize that this actually was trauma from the time I was on the cross. So I was actually crucified thousands of years ago. And in that during that crucifixion, there was just a lot of, there was a block that was somehow created there. So some sort of energy block. So again, I wasn't really too familiar with this stuff. So I was helped so wonderfully by Mary with PSYCH K in helping to remove this block through removing the trauma of what took place. Now, at that time, I happened to be one by the name that I actually went by was Andrew, and Andrew was a disciple of Yeshua, Jesus. So the first disciple of Jesus, and became the apostle. And of course, nowadays, people will reference that experience that I had as Saint Andrew. So that actually got me to a little bit just kind of appreciate and also understand what I'm currently here doing, because I've always felt in this time that it was absolutely essential that the understanding that we are all one and that love is the answer was the name of the game for me in this life. So it started to make a lot of sense. But then my intrigue had me, and it took me down another tunnel. I mean, I've had a lot of different experiences, which I've talked about some of those experiences the last time I was on Mary's show. But Mary's show is just like a place where I just love to drop just really, really big things. So that, if people, a lot of my experiences, for instance, you'll have a few individuals here and there that have had similar experiences, but for some strange reason, I have all these experiences combined. And so I'm happy to talk about it on Mary's show so that it resonates with your audience, who I'm sure are very bright and think outside the box of the norm, and are actually critical thinkers. So even that which I talk about, if they don't believe it to be in their realm of truth or possibilities, that's perfectly fine. It's just, I'm just telling you the information that has come through me and that I've experienced as my truth. And I appreciate everybody else's thoughts on that and opinions. And if it's different, then that's perfectly fine. So anyways, back to this, the templates was that I started to pull in all these other templates, and I started to realize that there is a big theme here. And the wonderful thing about this was that each experience sowed the seeds for the next and the next and the next. And then I was very fascinated by trying to figure out, well, where is this all leading to? And then I started to realize it was all leading to the moments that we are living in now and slightly beyond, which is not too far in the future. So those moments we can talk about if you like. Wherever you want to take the conversation right now, or I can get right into that.
Right. Well, thank you. Thank you. Well, and it's beautiful. And I actually loved how I'll even circle back around when you talked about your our souls and having a personality, right? And then, right, depending on what life experience we come into and how we want to choose to live here, the uniqueness, at least I found, was that we definitely have our true essence. We are our true essence. And then we come to planet Earth here in the three-dimensional realm and agree to have the veil, agree to forget who we are in our true essence, or our spiritual highest essence that is actually magnificent. Each and every one on this planet is. We agree to forget that. And so, and then we get conditioned with the beliefs or the templates that our parents had, our ancestry, our community, and the world at that time. So we all got the 20th century downloads and conditions, right? That many of us, right, embodied. And so I think in a way, it's really where I am right now with the gift that PSYCH K has offered for me, and I'm sure you already experienced it even in just this year, is that so when we can really turn and recognize that this life is an adventure, and it's magnificent beyond measure, with all of it, giving permission to be able to feel all of it, to experience everything we're going through, and that everything does have a purpose and serves us to grow in our self-mastery of who we really are, and in that virtue and that sense of discovery, and returning back to oneness with divine source, oneness with all in each unique way. So that's just, I guess, from my hope and joy, is that each person listening today may ask themselves if they can invite themselves to begin to have themselves perceive the world in this way, in this unique way. If they can even imagine it being so, it will help propel them to recognize and lift up above whatever hardships or really, really hard times that some may be going through, because some people are really going through really, really terrible things right now, and really very difficult tragedies. To know that, right, and this is what we'll be talking about, we are here to create a new world. We are here to turn it, whatever horrible things are happening or difficult things, like even for you, a health condition can be devastating. It happened to my husband with being diagnosed with leukemia. That huge wake-up calls. But that's the gift of the spiritual awakening in those times, is when we can step in that way. This is what we'll be doing, and literally in this time, what we change within ourselves to really transmute all those conditioned beliefs or those illusions of who we think we are, and really remember who we really are in the true essence of our uniqueness, like you say, our unique soul, beautifulness that has been expanding since time. So I'd love to explore, exactly, where do you see, how do you see the world changing, or what insights are you getting with that, and what you're hoping to do for yourself to help in that way, and your family and the world, and then and how you envision, I guess, the gift of PSYCH K helping with this dance with us.
Absolutely. So basically what I attempt to do is, and I'm pretty successful at this throughout time, is I envision a reality that I wish to traverse. So I'm of the belief that everything is existing now. So for instance, even though I understand people saying that we can create the future that we wish to see, I kind of have a little bit of I kind of tweak that just a little bit by saying that I want to pull in the future that I want to live in. So I see it that everything is existing already. Every single pathway you can imagine is already existing, yet they're existing at its own frequency vibration. So what I do is I try to tune myself like that of a radio dial to the station, to the vision, to the pathway that I want to be on, and the future that I want to see. I think, and I use my intention, and I pull in that type of a vision, which actually they teach you something similar in a VAC in PSYCH K. However, for the sake of this conversation, I just simply see that which I want to occur, and I do everything in my power to vibrate at that frequency to pull that vision and make it the path that I actually walk. So I don't see necessarily as me creating it, more than I'm tuning into that which already exists and experiencing it. And so I want to personally experience a future for all of us where we come together, where we unite in our differences, which are beautiful, because your soul each is slightly different until, of course, we get back into the divine source. We do have our slightly different traits, which is perfect. It's beautiful. But nonetheless, I see the vision that I have is that we all unite amidst our differences and have a way of life that is acceptable to all with a high standard of living, that which we come together in the essence of love, which again, today, as we can see, the essence is of fear. It's of the reptilian brain. It's of scaring and creating a low vibration, a very dense atmosphere. If people wish to have that reality, I'm certainly for that. Because if people like the fear and like the dense energy, I know a lot of people say, why would we like that? But the fact of the matter is, you apparently do, a lot of people, because you don't do anything to change it. And if anything does change, it seems as though, you want to go back to the old way, which was dense in itself. So the ones who wish to stay in the fear and in the violence, that's perfectly fine. I mean, I'm for everybody's way of life, but for me personally, I will be tuning out of that. And I hope others choose to too, because it's a more beneficial way of living, in my opinion. And that to me would be a Garden of Eden. That would be me to be the new Garden of Eden, and a type of future that is just, there's no limit to that future. Right now with this density, there are only limits and further limits and restrictions. And the list will continue to go on so long as people wish to tune into that. Every single person can make a difference by slightly changing how they view the world. So a pebble that is cast into a lake, it still will allow for ripples to be made. And so, a lot of people that I talk to, unfortunately, about, let's say 10 years ago, I've been doing this type of work for about 12 to 15 years, believe it or not. And in that time period, I actually go out and I would interview people. I would do a lot of research outside with individuals, showing the material just to see what they, how they perceive things, and kind of looked at the direction that they wanted the world to go in. And after we all kind of agreed upon something beneficial to all, then I would say, well, what do you think? What will be your modality of changing things in a peaceful way? And they said, I don't know. There's nothing I can do. So I got that so many times that it was quite alarming. But at the same time, I respect that which they believe. If they can do nothing, that is up to them. However, I really would ask if any of them are slightly tuning into a better reality or a different way than what you see happening right now. PSYCH K is the #1 approach for me to tell you to change that view, because you are important and you are strong and you can make a difference. And that's why PSYCH K came to me as well, to let people know that no, you can take your power back. You're not as weak as you think. You are very strong. And I've come here time and time again to share that information with people, that you are stronger than you can ever imagine. And you can make that difference. And it really is not that difficult, especially if you can try to find it in your heart to understand that you are immortal. I've got certain birthmarks on me. And those birthmarks, I was told, was there to let me know that I'm immortal. And so consequently, what that story implies is that in a past life, I was actually fighting off Templar Crusaders, and I got a sword in the area which is now my birthmark. Consequently, another story, and this just kind of blew me out of the water. I didn't know what to think of this, but another past life I had after that, I was Crazy Horse, and as Crazy Horse, I got a bayonet sharp object right in the same area as the Templar sword in a previous life, and I have that birthmark today still. So both those times I actually still retained the mark, but it was there to just remind me, because at times when we're in this world, I forgot at times who I was at the very beginning of going through the indoctrination system people refer to as the school system. And it was there to remind me that you are indeed immortal, and don't forget it, because that's one of the things that people kind of, when you use fear and scare tactics, it's really there to kind of shift you away from your true essence and the fact that you're immortal, and the fact that you're much more powerful than you think. So PSYCH K, great approach to dismantle that way of thinking and being.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, thank you. I know. Yay. And I know many people may say, well, how does that really happen? I know that the doubter, or I guess the cautious one that will question, how can I really change hardships, things that happen, that in the reality that they believe they're in. And like you had said, is whatever we're in, we have a choice. We always have a choice at each moment of how we're going to perceive it. And we may react into it with fear, or the programs that we were conditioned to believe in that. And the gift is to allow yourself to just question it in a new way. Einstein says, hey, you are not able to solve a problem at the same level of thinking that you created that problem in. Okay, so meaning whatever situation is happening there, like you're saying, using it as frequency and energy, we can see it in that way as a frequency energy level. Absolutely. We can also see it in a way of just, even in our idea of it, our perception of it. We have to be able to change our perception of that situation. And that's the gift that I know PSYCH K has done for me tremendously, by allowing me to see a new perception of myself and of the world. And exactly that. For you, I think the biggest one, and most of us, I think, have been, our self-worth has been totally pressed down or annihilated, or significantly reduced. I'll just say that. And I probably didn't even think that mine was, because I was raised to be pretty tough, with a Marine dad and 7 brothers, and the world, to get out there, and probably because my template is pretty feisty, that I thought that I did have a strong self-worth, because I was a fighter. I would fight for things. I would speak up. I thought that was my reaction. But the amazing part is with once I transformed perceptions about myself and the world, it helped me realize the reason I was actually fighting was because my self-worth was demolished, or was knocked down. So that's just part of the stepping stone. People that are fighters that are out there right now, you even talked about, like, if people are going to fight back or stay in fear, it's just they're just still on the journey. And the gift is are they ready to leap? And this is a leap of consciousness. Are you ready to leap, to really remember who you really are? And it's the ones that are courageous and have the willingness to at least explore it, is how we like to say with PSYCH K. And usually life circumstances will be the ones that will draw people to PSYCH K. Like for you, it was a health condition, right? For other people, it might be relationships, having very stressful, relationships, or it could be not knowing your purpose. I love when people come to learn PSYCH K, right? I love them on any realm, wherever they are. They could be living very frustrated lives, ready to know they want to leap into their personal power. That's really a huge, huge part of this. And they may not be ready to step into the level of awareness or connecting with their higher self and outer source self to find, hey, the past life experiences that they may have had, or even galactic, and we can really stretch beyond some people's imagination. And the gift for them is they may be, really focused on their, obviously their life now, which is huge. Right? We're here for a reason. We're here right now. You're here as Orion. I'm here as Mary. And it's quite fascinating. I know the gift for me with PSYCH K is I have actually become non-attached to my, I guess, beingness as Mary Mazur. a lot of people really will stand strong in it. I'm in it, and yet I understand that it's just a role that I'm offering now in this life during this time. I actually do remember that I'm way more than even just this Mary Mazur is here, and all of us are. And to begin to be able to see that divinity in each person is such a gift, because we can really be a mirror for others to begin to wake up, and they don't even realize they're even waking up. They don't even know that they need to wake up. That's pretty much how I was when my husband got sick. I had no idea that I needed to find who I really am. I thought I was Mary Mazur, and that's it, and that's all I am. And I didn't have any remembrances of any past lives or any galactic or none of that. This is it, me, Mary. And now where I am now is at a whole nother level. So I do offer for anyone who's willing to just explore possibilities within themselves, and to be really grounded in earth. We definitely don't want people going off where they lose themselves either. It's important to know, to be grounded and know who you really are. And I know for me, at the highest essence, my heart is just saying that we all are the love and light of divine source expression here, choosing to have a human experience in our unique way. And whatever we are going through is exactly what we're meant to go through, so that we can continue to expand. We can continue to grow and to develop in our self-mastery and in all of the precious gift offering that life is meant to serve in every positive way. So I know, unfortunately, a lot of people are in a lot of the negative situations, which really does make it challenging of how they can even see the light at the end of the tunnel, right? And a lot of them are in such a dark tunnel, or a dark cave, or a pit, even a pit, for many people too, or aspects of it, or they may come up and then go back down again, come up and go back down again in their pits. That if we can offer the hope too, I'm sure Orion, you will too, with the group that's listening, is to know that we are so loved beyond measure. It's incomprehensible, the amount of unconditional love and the support and the divine spiritual support that we have right with us here, living as a human here. If people could even see it or feel it or be able to experience it, I think that would be a huge game changer. Because I do feel it. I do feel all the spiritual supports of our archangels and, ascended masters and God's source itself, and my twin flame. We've talked about that a little bit. Your wife's your own twin flame, which is awesome. Mine's living in a separate part of this world right now. And we came into our lives for a short time, and then now we're meant to physically be separate. So all of these crazy, adventurous stuff, I know, with life. But
oh wow. Your listeners would certainly enjoy a few stories that I might have on our next talk, because we're talking about twin flames and twin souls. The energy you get, I mean, it's not just because you're with your twin soul. I'll preface this by saying it doesn't mean that you're going to be having the most fantastic time ever, but it does mean that you're going to have such a connection that you're just not going to really want to be with, you would think of yourself with nobody else, really. It's such a powerful connection that you will have. And one of the things is one of the stories I may mention next time is that my wife, she was my twin in one life. She wasn't here, but she was in another realm, and she sent me power that was phenomenal during the experience that I had. And still something that I just can't wait to just dissect and understand how this works, how that connection works. How is it that when we find each other again, because we had a tough road finding each other now in this life, she was a friend of the family, so you would think it's easy, but it was just not it wasn't even foreseen, us even being together until we were essentially teenagers. And then things changed, like a blink of an eye. My intuition kicked in, and I felt something strong, and it was not like the friendly type of stuff when you're little. So but there's these little things I saw. I traveled to. I had a vision when I must have been about 8 years old, and that vision took me to the future to see my wife and I together. And that vision actually came true. So that was a very fascinating story in itself. Then we just have these type of just this feeling in our hearts that is just a vortex of energy coming out, letting us know that something. It was just so different compared to other girls that it was just unbelievable for me. It was just a knowing. And there's one other thing that's pretty strange is that I just found out my wife's birthday is actually, and this is a little strange, the same birthday as my ex-wife in my very last life that I was here for. So that is in itself very strange. And also my ex-wife, when I was here the last time, was around the same age as when my wife and I started to get together in this life, which again was really strange. And it was like almost like diffusing this type of energy that is that kind of created maybe a form of karma in my last life, because I really had to get over certain things that I actually did balances for with PSYCH K that helped me to get over these things in my very last life, that I don't know how I would have done it had PSYCH K not been such it's just extremely valuable. People do not realize, I guess the ones who are listening, again, they're a different audience, so they're going to understand what we're saying. Hopefully they get out to the workshops and really get to experience it, but it really makes your life a lot easier, stress-free, as much as possible. I mean, every day you might get stressed out, but you just simply, if you just do PSYCH K, some of the balances found within there, you'll find that it's just that stress, which would possibly eat at you for about a week or maybe even a couple days for some, would be gone in just minutes. It's phenomenal. So yeah, anyways, in that life, that was just really, really fascinating how that tie-in occurred. And I almost get the feeling that my wife's twin flame role in this life is not just for this coming end of the age, which our energies together help to bring about a vibrational change wherever we go, lifting the energy so that it's very, very light and positive, and we hold that for as long as we can, and we're quite I'd say we've been doing that for about almost 15 years now, holding that type of vibration, and that is something that I couldn't do in my last life. Like, for instance, in this life I had this strange feeling that I had to take care of my children every single day. I had to be showing them love and making sure they knew that I truly am there for them, and I provide for them, and I make sure that they're safe, and all that. And I didn't know why I had this strong pull to do it. I just thought maybe that was my template until I started getting into the most recent life I was in, where I wasn't a very great father in the sense of being there with love for my daughter. And then I started to see, I started to see what was happening to her, and she got into drugs. For those of you who don't know, my last life, I was actually Elvis. So my daughter is still alive right now, and actually my ex-wife is still alive as well. I had a couple grandchildren that one of them actually took their own life this year in July. But what ended up happening was that I strongly felt that, I was out providing and making this money, but the industry that I was in was really, really different after I was in it for a few years. And I really started to find out that it was just a very negative vibration that I got caught into. And that vibration held an energy that attached itself to me, that followed itself into this life that I was currently in, which PSYCH K helped to completely change. And it seemed at my subconscious level. So once that was rewritten, wow, I felt so light, and everything was just phenomenally better. It makes a world of difference. And like the last time I was talking here, people who are considering suicide and that sort of stuff, really give PSYCH K a chance. Call Mary and just have a talk with her, and call some of the other instructors and facilitators, and seek the help of PSYCH K before you do something that you wouldn't be able to come back for in this particular body that you're in, because you will be able to see that once you make those changes, that you did not think was possible, especially how quickly it is. Wow, how your life will suddenly begin to make a lot of sense and be so positive, and you'll start bringing in that which you thought was not possible. Yeah, so that's what I have to say about that particular stuff there. And I mean, I'd love to really get in depth with templates, but I don't know how much time we have. And that is such a phenomenal subject in itself, to just dissect the synchronicities and the messages that are passed on from life to life if you haven't remedied what you were supposed to do in that particular life. But once you find a way to do it, and you know, I'm just going to beat the drum again, PSYCH K is one of the ways to do it. You'll find that you yourself begin to feel more whole again, and begin to feel the power that flows throughout the universe and flows through you. But with the density being so thick and the negative energy bombarding you, you just don't feel it the same way.
Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful. Oh, I love it. I love it. Well, thank you. Yeah, we'll definitely have you on another show with the templates. I think that would be awesome to recognize. And for simplicity with PSYCH K, you know, and especially because we meet people exactly right where they are. So there's people at all different levels of understanding who they are, or expansion, right, of any past life experiences or ancestral experiences that they might know, or even galactic. That even just working with this life, you know, when they're whatever's happening in this life is connected to all the other lives or all the other experiences we've had, right? So it's the level of each person's intention and their level of vulnerability of what they're really ready to clear out. So I think like a great example would be even at someone's house, right? Some people can become hoarders, right? Or they're collecting everything or don't want to throw anything away. And next thing you know, they have so much stuff in their house of what do you do about it? And I know even my husband and I were one of 12 kids. It was a while where we kind of collecting things. You're like, what the heck, you know? And it's interesting that right. The same thing happens with our subconscious mind. It's a recorder of everything, every experience you've had, every perception you had of that experience, and all the densities, all the emotions, all of, right, the imprints, the blueprints of that. And the gift is that we can change them. That's the biggest game changer ever. That you can actually change anything as long as it's safe and appropriate. And that's the gift of PSYCH K, is that there's a permission protocol working with your superconscious mind, or some may call your higher self, the direct connection with divine source, to making sure that, yeah, this is safe and appropriate for you in your life and in your past. So the gift is that when it's good for you, it's good for all. And I know for me, that's my probably one of my missions here, is to help work with it with myself in every aspect of my life, and to be a mirror and a gateway for others to also raise their level of who they are here, raise their frequency level, raise their heart center level, to remember again that they are so magical. So whatever they can do good for themselves, they are doing good for all. And so that, do what brings you joy, do what fascinates you, do what your desires are. And so if there's any negative thoughts or denser energies, like, you know, if you're in where you're just in guilt or shame or worry or fear, apathy, any of those denser energies, feel it, because we're meant to feel everything, and everything serves, everything is there for a purpose for about a minute or so. I would give it maybe 60 seconds, 90 seconds, you know, hey, all right. Yeah, anger, especially anger, is actually quite purposeful at the exact right time. The hard part is many of us hoard it, and we actually keep it in us, and it keeps coming out and it keeps coming out, and it never leaves. So that's where I know for myself with PSYCH K has been the most tremendous gift for me, is that right now, anything that I feel or any negative thought that I have or any kind of worry or concern, especially with these changing times where the unknown is right there. We don't know what the new world's going to be like, right? We are here, like you said, pulling it in, bringing in those optimal timelines in that are already there waiting for us in the most precious, most amazing ways, we limit ourselves by the limited thinking that we have, because really we can shoot super high and bring out an amazing, Garden of Eden, heaven on earth here. And it's just the timing of when this happens for each person is when they're ready for it, when they just decide and say, you know what, I need to change things. And like this, they're listening to this talk. Just listening to this talk means it's already, the quiet nudge is already being offered to each single person that's listening to this right now. And to say, wow, maybe I could check this out. And they can just go to YouTube, look up Bruce Lipton. You know, he's a cell biologist that it made a massive transformation in his life. And he's a huge proponent of this. And he knows with the science that this is exactly how our system works, is by our subconscious mind belief systems. So, and Rob Williams is the originator, another beautiful YouTube videos that are on there. It's just enough for people to decide, but really it's just a decision that, wow, you know what, I do need to change things in my life, and for the better. And if they do, right, they can look to where those workshops are. They're all across the world. And we actually are still having live workshops, believe it or not. I'm teaching this weekend in Wisconsin. I'm driving 10 hours to go through Michigan, the UP. It's going to be beautiful in the fall. Yay! And we're going to have people that are here, right? And then the next weekend, I'm having down in North Carolina a divine integration retreat in the Hot Springs, North Carolina, where we have a natural hot springs hot tub. Yeah. In the place that we're having it. Yeah. And that will be everything, every transformation that each person that's coming there will make will be with their divine source, with God's essence itself, whatever that means for that person, or their highest self, if that's important for them. And so they're all, and so we're, our intention is to really offer another increase in the level of consciousness here on this planet by the work that we're doing for ourselves, bringing in our next level of the love and light that we are here. Yeah. And then the weekend after that, I'll be driving into New York and offering this here. So that's where I'll be. And then December will be in Florida. So I know right now I'm supposed to teach.
Hard worker. I love it.
No, I'm here wherever spirit calls, and we're here to bring it. And then I'm supposed to be going to Israel and in France, November and December, and we're just setting the intention. If the borders can open, then we will fly over there too. But yeah, for anyone that's like you did, I loved how, you know, you just had a couple of PSYCH K sessions with me that we did even over the phone. That's how easy this is and profound it can be. And then you made your decision. You just listened to your heart and you knew, yeah, this is the path I need to take. So I know, and look at you now. I know just all the things compared to when we first started talking to where you are now. I've even seen this, the massive, you know, centeredness, your calm, your centeredness, your knowingness of who you are is really magnificent. It's really beautiful. And
yeah. Happy that you've come into my life too, because that was the big connection, was when I did when I was talking to you. Of course, our spirits were meeting, and there was a familiarity with that connection. And then that's when we, of course, realized we were part of the same soul family. And so I was so super thankful for that. I always remember my wife coming in and taking a look. We only saw this one picture that you have on the facilitator page. It's the only time we've ever seen you. And you look a lot younger now, actually, in the picture. But anyways, we're actually doing a Zoom right now for those who are listening. But anyways, so so she felt a strong connection, so strong, in fact, that, believe it or not, she started to cry. So that was extremely profound, and it was such a great connection, a good thing where you just know that sometimes you're not supposed to use your mind. You just sometimes are following your inner GPS, so to speak. And on a different note, though, we were in terms of the COVID situation. One of the most important things to defend against COVID, in the sense of the actual mind attacks that are taking place based on fear, is to use PSYCH K. Seek out Mary, seek out an instructor or facilitator in your area. Make sure you prepare yourself, because believe it or not, PSYCH K can be used to neutralize the energy that may be very negative based on a future scenario. So you can kind of take a look at where you think COVID will be heading, and if you think lockdowns and that sort of stuff is bad, you know, if that stresses you out, well then, you know, you can always do a balance for that ahead of time, to kind of make sure that you don't get too stressed out about the things that are coming. And as far as I know, currently, times are going to be a little tough for the next couple of years, just to be honest with you, before we start to really shed light. A lot of people tell me that, a lot of people's opinions is that they see light at the end of the tunnel, but then they say it's a train coming. And so for me, we want to make sure that we're not getting hit by a train here. So PSYCH K is one of those ways of seeing that train before you enter the tunnel and actually flying over the tunnel itself. So that's the way I look at it. And so with the COVID situation here, I'm located in Canada, and great place here in Canada, great people, just like in America and other nations across the world. But there's a certain, like, when COVID first happened, I used some of my gifts to kind of project what would take place and what the purpose was of this, because I, in 2010, noted that around 2020, they would make a big shift in society, which did occur. And what ended up happening was, of course, what you see today is a virus is scaring everybody into submission like this never happened before. Now, I do understand the any virus, flu virus, that can affect an individual and make them pass away is certainly something that is quite sad. And we of course, our hearts go out to those who've lost their lives. But at the same time, stressing yourself out will not help your immune system. So you must try to use something like PSYCH K to create a balance so that your body does not harbor that stress, so that you can give yourself a fighting chance. So if you get anything like this virus or another virus, that you're going to be 99% of the time defeating it, and you might not even have noticed that it was even there. So with the timeline here, currently they're saying that there's going to be lockdowns in November, December again for a second wave, and the whole wave thing was kind of strange to me. There was a vision I had last March, so a year ago in March, which obviously was the time, I think it was 3/11, when the World Health Organization identified this as a global pandemic. So exactly 1 year before that, I had a vision of these giant waves coming, and each wave would wash over the world and create devastation. But then there was actually one scene that my vision kept pointing to, was that there would only be one type of social gathering, and that social gathering would be in the form of a funeral. And sure enough, when COVID happened, unfortunately, that's the scenario that played out, and that was with wave one. But in my dream, there was multiple waves, and it was actually in the form of a giant tsunami. And many referred to what was happening during these times, when you pull up news articles, as a tsunami. The COVID was referred to as a tsunami. And anyways, the second wave, that again might be real, might be engineered, it's up for you to decide, will actually create further lockdowns, lockdowns that might be similar or on par to the first set, but then they're going to create checkpoints, usually in major cities. It looks like the projected scenario may go along the lines of around February. Maybe you might see a mutation, or they might announce a mutation. They might change the name from COVID-19 to something else. Some refer to it as COVID-21 as a mutation, and then COVID-21 could possibly be something along the lines of either a mutated virus or COVID-19 in conjunction with a flu virus, a seasonal flu virus.
Hey, Orion. I don't mean to cut you off, but we do have to end the show in a couple minutes here. Actually, in 1 minute. So we'll have to swing this around. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So just go to PSYCH K and just kind of relieve yourself of that stress of these current situations. It's a pleasure talking to you as always. And I'll leave it to you there, Mary. Thank you again.
Oh, thank you. And then if anyone does want to reach out to me, they can go to my website, igniteandhealyourlife.com. That's igniteandhealyourlife.com. You can also go to the PSYCH.com website, and there's plenty of instructors and facilitators on there too. So thank you so much, Orion. Beautiful. And just trust, it's time to create our new world and our new way of being. And that's what PSYCH offers the most of us, is put in what you do want instead of what you don't want. So we send our love. Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.